Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we consider the budget of the National Irrigation Authority. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, consideration of the budget of the National Irrigation Authority is in order.
Administration, yeah. Mr. President, I move that we recognize the sponsor once again, Senator Pangilinan, and to interpolate is our distinguished colleague, Senate President Pro Temp Senator Lacson.
Senator Francis Pangilinan, Chairman, is recognized, and the President Pro Temp, Senator Ping Lacson, is recognized.
With the
Go ahead, please.
yes,
Distinguished
Mr. President, the following in the previous interpellations of the good senator from Cavite, we suspended the deliberations, and there were a number of items that the Senator Lacson wanted to be submitted. And the following were the list of fully operational irrigation systems, the operational percentage per irrigation system, and the solar irrigation projects breakdown as to regions, cost, and contractors. And we have been informed by the LBMRO that an advance copy was forwarded to Attorney Louis Martinez via email.
We confirm that, Mr. President. Distinguished sponsor, what they submitted is a link, yung report as of December 2024. And on Monday, it's already December 1, 2025. So
Yes.
baka pwede merong masabit na more updated list.
Is this the one?
Medyo out of date yung sinubmit.
Yes. We have another listing here of the compliance with the issues and concerns raised during the plenary debate, budget debate. Number one, balog-balog, and several other items, including the requested contracts. This is as of 25 November 2025, dated, but the items and the update is as of October 2025.
I leave it to the sponsor.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Mr.
you. And
President.
therefore, we will turn this over to whom? To the good senator, as well as to the, we will have a copy submitted to our chairman of the Committee on Finance.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President. There being no member who wishes to interpolate the budget, Senator Marcoleta also said he will no longer interpolate the budget of the NEA. I move that the budget of the said agency be deemed submitted. I so move, Mr.
Any
President.
objection? Hearing none, the budget of the DIA is hereby deemed submitted.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Lacson, Senator Marcoleta, and our colleagues. Maraming salamat.
May I ask for a minute suspension, Mr. President? So may I ask for a minute?
Session suspended.
Mr. President, I move that we consider the budget of the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development and recognize and all its attached agencies and recognize its sponsor, Senator Erwin for the details of the budget.
Any objection? Hearing none, the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development's budget is in order.
Thank you, Mr.
Senator
President.
Gatchalian is recognized, sponsored.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Majority Leader. Mr. President, we respectfully submit for the body's consideration the fiscal year 2026 proposed new appropriations of the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development and its attached agencies and corporation amounting to 6.4 billion pesos. And the breakdown is as follows. For the Office of the Secretary, 1.4 billion pesos. For Human Settlements Adjudication Commission, 526 million pesos. For the National Housing Authority, 4.3 billion pesos. For the Social Housing Finance Corporation, 166 million pesos. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, before I recognize our first interpreter, I just want to recognize my guests from Bukidnon, Mr. President, that they're here now. Our mayor from my hometown of Maramag, Bukidnon, together with the other LGU officials that are here.
We welcome your guests to the Senate.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, the first to interpolate the measure is our distinguished colleague, Senator Jinggoy Estrada.
Senator Jinggoy Estrada is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I will just dwell on two topics. First is the Monterrasas de Cebu project, Mr. President. Mr. President, the DNR has formed a joint inspection and investigation regarding the Monterrasas de Cebu project amid complaints and concerns that the ambitious project contributed to the unprecedented flooding in the city of Cebu, particularly in the Guadalupe area. The DNR also issued a notice of violations and a stoppage order last November 12, while the Cebu City government has launched a separate investigation. My question is, when did the DSUD issue the certificate of registration and license to sell to the developer behind the Monterrasas de Cebu project?
Thank you, Mr. President, for that question. I thank you, and I thank Senator Jinggoy for those queries. The issuance of the certificate of registration came in multiple times. The first one was given on 2008, and then the second one on 2009, the following one on 2024, and the last one was 2025 this year.
Okay. May I know what violations will trigger the suspension of the certificate of registration and license to sell of the developer in this case?
So, Mr. President, the certificate of registration has multiple prerequisites. So, one ground for the certificate of registration to be canceled is the cancellation of its ECC. Another ground, if the building permit is also canceled or revoked, then it can also be a ground to cancel its certificate of registration. So there are multiple grounds that can be used in order to cancel the certificate of registration, because there are different prerequisites that allows the certificate of registration to be issued.
Right. By the way, Mr. Sponsor, who is the developer of this project?
Mr. President, I was advised by the DSUD team that the original proponent was Landco, and then eventually a company called Gen V bought out Landco.
Who is the owner? Do you know the owner?
Mr. President, the developer is Gen V Agro-Industrial Development Corporation. Let me just get the directors and stockholders of the company.
Just submit it.
If you allow, the department can just submit it,
All
Mr.
right.
President. Thank you.
Since the DNR already issued notice of violations, can the DSUD suspend or revoke the license to sell?
Well, Mr. President, the current situation right now is, like you mentioned, the DNR is investigating the possible environmental transgressions. The local government as well is also doing its own investigation. But as long as those documents still stand and are still valid, the ECC, the Sanggunian resolutions, the building permits, the department will not revoke the certificate of registration.
Great. Well, Mr. President, in your view, is it still proper for Monterrasas to continue selling their properties even though there are ongoing investigations left and right?
But, Mr. President, because there's no official communication from DNR as well as local governments in relation to their violations, their certificate of registration still stands, so meaning they can still sell their units and their products, Mr. President. But as soon as there are adverse findings and their ECC will be revoked or the local governments will revoke their permits, then the certificate of registration will also be affected, and they will be instructed to cease the selling of their products.
Okay, since ito bang DSUD, hindi ba sila gumagawa ng kanilang internal investigation with regard to this project?
Actually, the division, Mr. President, the DSUD is regulating on the selling portion or the commercial aspect of the project, Mr. President, while the DNR is regulating the environmental aspect of the project. Of course, the LGU has much more broader powers. It's general welfare of the constituency. So as long as there is no official communication from the DNR and from the LGU on the violations, the commercial aspect or the regulation of the commercial aspect will still stand.
Yes. I was informed that the city government of Cebu is against this project since, is my information correct?
Yeah, well, Mr. President, from the information I gathered from DSUD, there's a permit, a valid permit from the local government, and you're also once a mayor.
The local government.
The local government. This type of projects cannot proceed without a valid sanggunian resolution.
But the provincial government, I think, is against against this project since it contributed to the flooding of Cebu City itself.
Well, as I understand it, the project is located inside Cebu City, and it's the Cebu City local government who should be regulating and supervising this project.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Sponsor. Let's go to the second topic on government housing projects. Initially, under the Pambansang Pabahay para sa Philippine or the 4PH program, the government aims to build 1 million houses per year, totaling 6 million units by the end of President Marcos's term. But the target has since been revised, and the DSUD was quoted as saying that it aims to construct 3.2 million housing units before President Marcos steps down in 2028. My question is, as we speak, how many housing units have been constructed since the start of the Marcos administration?
Yeah, Mr. President, for the direct housing, it's 113,000 housing provisions. And for the indirect housing, it's 314,000. So a total of 428,000.
Only? So hindi natin mamimit yung target before the term of President Marcos ends?
Well, the target, Mr. President, is 1.1 million by 2028. So meron pa hong balancing 705,000.
Kasi ang usapan
Medyo tall
yata,
order. Challenging ho talaga,
the
actually.
government aims to build 1 million houses per year, totaling 6 million units by the end of the term of President Marcos.
Well, you're correct, Mr. President. They had to revise their targets. I think 1 million is very ambitious, Mr. President, and they have to be realistic with the budgetary constraint.
Ano yun, niloloko natin taong bayan? Bakit sinabi 1 million per year?
Yes.
Tapos, so right now, as we speak, how many? How many houses? 400? 400,000 plus pa lang.
Well, Mr. President, we all know that we have a new leader, a new secretary in the Department of Housing. And after his analysis and consultation with stakeholders, the 1 million per year seems like it was a very big challenge.
So what is the revised, how many housing units per year? Or yung target before the end of the term of President Marcos in 2028?
About 200,000 per year, Mr. President. That's the target. So, ang target po nila, by the end of the term of the President, they would have constructed at least 705,000 units to complete the 1.1 million. 705,000 to complete.
705,000 units.
From 1 million a year, ang naging target is 1 million in the next 3 years. No?
So sa 6 na taon ni Pangulong Marcos, 700,000 lang ang
Hindi. Magiging 1.1 million.
1.1 million.
Yes, Mr.
Pero ang
President.
pangako nung una, 1 million a year.
Yes, Mr.
Pero
President.
ginawa 1 million sa 6 years.
Yes, Mr. President. In short, tama ho kayo.
Okay. Where are these housing projects located, if I may ask? Is it all over the country?
It's all over the country, Mr. President, but primarily in the high-density areas like Region 3, NCR, and Region 4A.
Are these climate resilient housing units?
Yes, Mr. President, these should, before they build, they make sure that the area is suitable for habitation, and they also make sure that they have mitigating measures to mitigate the effects of, let's say, heavy rainfall or natural natural geographic contours of the area. Kung may mga ilog ho doon, they also make sure that they have mitigating projects to mitigate the effects of those riverways, Mr. President.
Okay, may I know how much is allocated under the 2026 budget for the housing projects, Mr. Sponsor?
About 4.3 billion, Mr. President.
4.3 billion.
Yes.
Magkano bang isang housing unit?
The Senate actually increased it by 1.5 billion, Mr. President.
So, naging,
Dati 2.7, tinaas ho natin to 4.3, Mr. President.
is that sufficient enough?
Their request
For two-
is more, Mr. President.
For 200, itong year, for next year, 200,000
yes,
ang
Mr. President.
Target, no? Sufficient ba? So, magkano yung,
Well, Mr.
magkano
President,
per unit?
Mr.
If I-
President, during the budget hearing, the Secretary made a very extensive presentation on how he reformed the 4PH project. So, ngayon, covered na ho from informal settlers all the way to middle-income families, Mr. President. So, my housing products na for all of these families, Mr. President.
Can you give me a ballpark figure kung magkano ang presyo ng bawat housing unit? Just a ballpark
Yeah.
figure.
So, Mr. President, for NHA, ang row house nila, 26 square meters floor area.
26 square meters?
26 po. May dalawang variant, 26 square meters and 28 square meters. For the 26 square meters is 806,000, Mr. President. Murang-mura lang, Mr. President. Below 1 million.
806,000.
Yes. For the 28 square meters, it's 863,000.
Maliit lang diferensya.
Maliit
So
lang.
yung 28 square meters, kaano ba kalaki yun? Kasama na lahat yun?
Oh, kasama na ho. That.
Kusina, banyo.
Yeah. Kasama na ho yan.
Eh kung 10 anak ng isang pamilya, paano magkakasya?
Po is 40 square meters. So meron pa ho area for small garden or kung masenso sila, meron maliit na parking lot. No? So the lot area is 40 square meters. The floor area of the house is between 26 to 28.
Ano pa naging problema kung bakit bumaba yung target ng DSUD from 3.2 million to 700,000 units? Masyadong malaki yata yung binaba ng target ng DSUD. Sino ba makikinabang dito?
There were, admittedly, Mr. President, there are two major reasons. One is the design of the 4PH. In the past, the design wasn't hitting the market that needed the most. So that's why it created delays in the implementation. In fact, for 2025, they have not obligated the amounts for the 4PH project. There's still 683 million pesos. So because of that delay, natulak po yung kanilang targets. That's one. And of course, the fiscal
Funding.
space, Mr. President, hindi ho funding is the other one, Mr. President. But I think in design is the top reason bakit po hindi naabot yung 1 million per year. Tama ho kayo, yung po yung the design of the program wasn't targeting the right income class families, Mr. President.
So, may I know who will benefit from these housing units? Are the informal settlers going to benefit from this? At vine-vet ba ito? Sino nagve-vet nito?
So, Mr. President, yung bagong design po ng 4PH is actually targeting almost all income streams from families Is this families?
Yes, sir, deciles, income deciles.
Of
From the
families?
lowest.
From families earning 11,000 pesos all the way to families earning 74,000 pesos.
Yeah. Who
So
does
yun
the
po,
vetting?
yun po yung kanilang spectrum.
Who will do the vetting of this project?
Well, it's a combination, Mr. President, because meron rin silang partnership with the private sector. So yung private sector, they're the ones doing the vetting of the families.
Who among the private sectors are concerned here?
Kasi ho, yung the private sector can apply to Pag-ibig to build socialized housing, and the government subsidizes the interest that the families are giving. Doon pumapasok yung gobyerno. So it becomes affordable for them every month. And then there's also another modality wherein it's NHA that builds everything, and NHA vets the beneficiaries, Mr. President. So dalawang modality
So,
po.
pwedeng isama yung mga kapulisan,
Yes, Mr. President, they're
military,
Pag-ibig members. Basta Pag-ibig member ka,
mga
pwede ka.
teachers.
Yes, Mr.
Kasi ito
President.
yung mga lumalaban sa pinagtatanggol ng ating
Yes, Mr. President.
gobyerno.
Yes.
Medyo mababa pa yung sahod, kailangan siguro isama natin itong
Yes.
mga
So kung pulis ka and you want to buy...
kapulisan, military, tsaka yung mga guro. Well, according to a recent study, the housing needs in the Philippines is estimated at 6.9 million units for 2022 to 2028. 819,000 in NCR, 2.7 million in Luzon, 1.38 million in Visayas, and 1.96 million in Mindanao. The housing backlog, according to researchers, has already reached an alarming level. And if not addressed, this could surge to 22 million by 2040, according to the United Nations Habitat. And what are the steps or reforms being undertaken by the department to address distortions in the housing market and make housing easily accessible, especially to low-income families? Masyadong mababa ang target natin na 700,000. And sinabi ng UN, kailangan 6.9
Totoo.
million.
Yeah, Mr. President, that is a really sad reality, Mr. President. So the department is undertaking two modalities. One is purely financed by government. Ibig sabihin po, gobyerno magpapatayo, and NHA is the lead in that endeavor. The other one is in partnership with the private sector, wherein the government steps in to subsidize the interest payments. No? So ito naman po ay tinutulungan ng buyer side. No? So magiging affordable po yung kanilang amortization every month. Doon po pumapasok yung gobyerno.
Kasi nakaka-alarma naman malaman na 6.9 million units ang kailangan ng ating bansa, tapos 700,000 lang ang target natin. Anyway, pwede ba malaman kung ilan ba yung informal settlers dito sa buong bansa? How many informal settlers are there in the whole Philippines?
The estimate is about 1.4 million informal settler
1.4
families. 4
The
million.
whole Philippines or only in the whole Philippines? You sure?
That is the...
As we speak, ilan?
That is their internal survey, Mr. President.
Internal survey of this one?
This is, this is 1.4 million families, Mr. President.
Families.
Families.
Alright.
So if you times 5 that's
By rule
about
of thumb.
6 million.
By rule of thumb, you multiply it by 5.
Yes,
times 5.
Mr. President.
So kung 1.4 million families, that's 7 million
Individuals.
individuals.
Yes.
All right. So kanina sinabi nyo kasama sila sa ano, no? Recipients ng pabahay. So do you think 700,000 is sufficient enough to accommodate these informal settlers, makapulisan, pamilitary, ng mga ating guro?
Mr. President, shelter is really a very challenging endeavor on the part of government because you have new families. Yung mga new families, they are also looking for new homes. Then you have to address existing informal settlers that are also eventually, alam naman ho natin, lumalaki rin yung kanilang families. There are informal settler families that are informal settlers for generations. No? So, in catch-up po talaga very challenging. But the department is coming up with new financing schemes para hindi naman po lahat gobyerno nagpapatayo. That's why they also partnered with the private sector so that the private sector can invest in shelter and government will come in to pay the amortization. And we subsidize the amortization to make it affordable. So may mga iba-ibang schemes. Hindi ho parehong formula for all the different housing needs of our country.
Thank you, Mr. Sponsor, for being patient in answering all my questions. I terminate my interpellation to give way to Senator Risa, who is the next to interpellate.
Maraming salamat po, Senator Jinggoy. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you.
All right, Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, next to interpolate is our Deputy Majority Leader, Senator Risa Ontiveros.
The Deputy Majority Leader, Senator Risa Ontiveros, is recognized.
Salamat po, Mr. President, at magandang hapon po, Mr. Chair, at sa DSUD family. Unang tanong ko po tungkol sa accountability para sa utility delays at compliance, particular po water access. So, Mr. Chair, Mr. President, we've repeatedly addressed the persistent infrastructure gaps in high-density housing projects, such as the 7-year delay in water service for occupied sites like Alpas, and the complete lack of water service preventing occupancy in projects like AMC. Also, given the reported failure of Prime Water to invest in San Fernando, Pampanga, paano po magiging posible na ma-occupy yung daan-daang 4 PH units? Anong specific institutionalized action ang gagawin ng DSUD sa loob ng, halimbawa, 90 days para i-mandate at i-expedite, pabilisin yung water connection mula sa mga suppliers para siguruhin na mababudgetan yung mga utilities, Mr. Chair.
So, thank you for the question, Senator Risa. For the HDH Alpas, located in San Jose del Monte, Bulacan, the interim solution. Legal ba ito? Yeah. Sorry for the delay, Mr. President.
It's all right, Mr.
The
Chair.
HDH Alpas, which is located in San Jose del Monte, the interim solution is a construction of deep well, while the LGU is going to take over. No? Tama ba? Yeah, but are they going to take? Okay. So, sorry, I'm just clarifying. So the LGU is already taking action on prime water. The supplier here is prime water, and it's the LGU that is taking action and coordinating with prime water. But the interim solution is that the Social Housing Finance Corporation will construct a deep well, and this will be operational between 90 to 120 days.
Okay.
So yun po yung interim solution nila para magkaroon ng tubig. Pero hindi ako satisfied sa 90 to 120 days. So walang tubig. Kaya wag maligo ng 90 to 120 days.
Hindi lang mahirap, Mr. Chair. Imposible.
Kaya nga eh. Dapat bukas may tubig na ito. Dapat kung habang walang tubig sila, wag rin kayo maligo kaya. Diba?
Ang hirap po.
Nagrarasyon naman raw, Senator Risa. So may interim nagrarasyon ho sila ngayon, but the second interim is to magkaroon ng deep well na legal. No? I was verifying, dapat ho legal.
Yes.
Hindi po kolorum na deep well. And this will be already applied with the DNR. No? So, ang request namin ni Senator Risa, mapabilis ho to dahil hindi naman pwedeng walang tubig yung community. No?
Totoo po, Mr. Chair. Ganito rin po ba yung magiging immediate tapos interim solution dun po sa San Fernando, Pampanga, Mr. Chair?
I was informed by Social Housing Finance that the Crystal Peak Estates in San Fernando, Pampanga, wala naman pong issue. It's the LGU and the local utilities that is operating the water distribution. Nag-take over na pala ho yung LGU. So they are now operating the water distribution activities in that area.
I understand, Mr. Chair, na nag-take over na yung LGU sa San Fernando, Pampanga. But are they actually operating already? Are they actually na nakaka-deliver na po ng tubig
Yes,
sa mga bahay?
Mr. President, so that is a affirmative.
All right. So that's good to know, Mr. Chair, para yung daang-daang 4 PH units doon sa San Fernando, Pampanga, mauokupa nga dahil may available na water utility doon. Good to hear na within pasok sa 90 days sana na specific institutionalized action doon sa Alpas, San Jose del Monte. Although may range 90 to 120 days. So salamat sa Chair for asking for immediate urgent action.
And I also thank Senator Risa because I know that you are also very concerned about this community. I know that you are monitoring the welfare of that community. So thank you for bringing this up so that the Social Housing Finance Management can take a look at this once again.
Oo nga pala, Mr. Chair, at salamat sa SHAFC for undertaking the construction of that deep well. It's an example na bukod sa good share, bukod sa akin at iba pang mga kasama dito na inaasikaso ng DSUD, yung ganito mga communities, at yung key shelter agencies tulad ng SHAFC should and do step in kapag may immediate interventions and then more strategic interventions na kailangan po. So, dako naman po, and before I leave this first question, Mr. Chair, maigi po sana, kung pwedeng tanggapin ito ng DSUD bilang mungkahi, good if there will be a senior official who will be assigned to developing and seeking resources for a water plan for these housing projects, Mr. Chair. Just for the record and the consideration of the department.
The DSUD families here, they're complete, so they'll study your proposal, Mr. President.
Salamat, Mr. Chair. So, dako na po ako sa affordability crisis and subsidy recalibration. At least ganito po yung karanasan at impormasyon na dumating sa informal settlers. At particular, yung concern po dito, institutionalizing yung 1% target rate para sa Maralitang Tagalunsod. The Lapidario Medium Rise Project in Cavite, ito po ikinuwento sa amin ng ikinuwento sa amin ng Kilos Maralita. Yung Lapidario tragically demonstrates that the 3% interest rate disqualifies the intended urban poor beneficiaries. So, magko-commit po ba, Mr. Chair, ang DSUD na agad mag-issue ng joint policy circular kasama ng pag-ibig para yung mga pangako ni dating Secretary Acuzar ay madedeliver pa rin. Kasi po, when the interest rate was at 1%, the beneficiaries reported that more than 700 people qualified for the project. But at a 3% interest rate, 159 of them only would qualify. And these people already looked for a parcel and a developer and already actually enrolled in the earlier 4PH program. And I would suppose that a similar highly concessional package would also be needed for families who are being involuntarily resettled from no-build zones at the edge of rivers and from government project right-of-way. So iba pang concern ito, Mr. Chair. So pwede po bang i-consider ni Secretary ang mga tao sa ganitong mga sirkumstansya? Una, yung pumasok sa programa at 1% interest rate, tapos nabalitaan nila 3% interest rate na po. And then pangalawa, yung mga tao na nasa no-build zones, nasa right-of-way, pero sa pilitan silang inililipat, Mr. Chair.
The new secretary is committing to maintaining the 1% effective interest rate for 4PH projects. Ito ay quite innovative because this is subsidizing the demand side of the housing project. And 1% is actually reasonable, Mr. President. And during the public hearing, he also demonstrated the reforms that he plans to do in order to cover more families in the 4PH project. Dati ho kasi limited lang to middle income and the higher income families. But ngayon na pati mga informal sector ay mako-cover na rin, and the low income families. Yeah.
I'll also get to that point, Mr. Chair, a little later kasi magiging very welcome development po yun sa mga informal settlers, mga maralitang tagalunsod na tinataas ng DSUD yung target nila na mga kababayan nating magbebenepisyo dito sa ating housing programs. So, yung pong commitment ni Secretary na i-maintain yung 1% interest rate, posible bang mapaloob yon sa isang joint policy circular kasama ng pag-ibig or aling key shelter agency dapat, Mr. Chair?
Mr. President, sorry again for the delay.
It's all right, Mr. Chair.
The explanation to me is in order to maintain the 1% effective interest rate for 4PH, which is a subsidized rate, we need to assure the department that the corresponding subsidy that, of course, Congress and the Senate appropriates to them will be maintained. So, contingent yung kung ano yung budget na nakukuha nila. So it's also important, well, it's important that yung budget ay mapasok sa National Expenditure Program para hindi magkaroon ng shortage yung subsidy at kasi ang effect nung pag hindi nabigyan yung subsidy, pwedeng tumaas yung interest rates from 1 to 3%, Mr.
Yun ang
President.
kinatatakbuhan.
Yeah, that's
Opo.
right. Well, before, nung bago si Secretary pumasok, kung nawalan nagkulang yung subsidy o hindi nabigyan ng subsidy, tumataas siya ng 6. Pero they managed to work out with Pag-ibig na may cap at 3%. No?
Okay.
So, it's really a budgetary issue, in other words. No?
Pero sa naging NEP nitong taon, Mr. Chair, para sa susunod na taon, and yung current form ng GAB, meron po bang line item doon which would enable the SUD or the Secretary to deliver on his commitment na i-maintain sa 1% yung interest rate?
Yeah, based on his projection for 2026, covered na po yung 683. Covered na ho yun for next year.
683.
Million, Mr.
Aha.
President.
Okay po. And ano yung kailangan nilang suporta mula sa atin, sa Kongreso, para siguruhin na they will always have the wherewithal para i-maintain yung 1% na yun?
Mr. President, the target is about 200 units per year. 200,000 units per year, of which itong 200,000 units per year, may corresponding subsidy ho siya. So kailangan matulungan natin ang DSUD na makover yung subsidy na yun. That's the additional. But of course, may existing pa eh. No? So we need to also cover the existing.
Okay po.
So in other words, yung kanilang target and existing should be inside NEP
Yes.
and should be maintained all the way till the budget is approved.
Opo. So, I'm also taking note of that, Mr. Chair, na baka homework po sa atin dito sa Senate, and siguro naman kinommunicate din ito ng DSUD sa mga counterparts natin sa House,
Yeah.
na year on year, for the next
Yeah.
couple of years, kailangan natin laging siguruhin na may ganitong line item.
It's a good question, Mr. President. So tayo naman dito, we know the effects if we do not allocate the subsidy that is related to the 4PH. Mayroong effect siya in terms of how much the families will be paying. No? And we want to maintain that 1% throughout the life of the project, Mr. President.
Salamat para doon, Mr. Chair. At makikipagtrabaho po itong representasyon sa Good Share para masuportahan yung DSUD at yung pag-ibig sa aspetong ito. And sana po, Mr. Chair, tama ba yung understanding ko na kasama dito sa subsidy na ito para 1% lang ang interest rate nila, yung mga tao na sa pilitang i-resettle dahil nasa no-build zones, nasa gilid ng ilog o nasa government right-of-way areas?
Pag informal ho, dito naman papasok yung NHA, Mr. President.
Okay.
And when NHA comes in, ito purely subsidized housing rin. So NHA has 4.3 billion. So dito naman papasok yung ating housing subsidy through NHA.
Salamat, Mr. Chair. Just taking a step back momentarily, gusto ko lang i-bring sa attention ng DSUD kaugnay nung water access na as of 3 months ago, the manager of San Fernando Water District told us that there is no water and no money for capital investments for the water supply for the San Fernando 4PH project. So sana kahit double check lang ulit ng DSUD na real-time yung sinabi nila kanina na may tubig na dun sa service area na yon, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Referring, Mr. President, Senator Risa, to the Crystal Peak Estates, San Fernando, Pampanga.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, according to Social Housing Finance, nag-move in na itong mga families and they have validated na meron pong tubig na doon sa area na yon, doon sa community na yon.
Alright, salamat po para doon, Mr. Chair. That things have indeed improved within a quarter of a year since. Okay po, Mr. Chair, dako na po ako sa utilizing escrow funds para sa resiliency at para sa building code reform. So the DSUD has the mandate to utilize the balanced housing escrow funds to support socialized housing. However, CMP loan funds cannot be effectively used for strengthening existing houses without a technical framework. So meron po bang inherent power, Mr. Chair, ang DSUD para agad pamunuan nila ang pag-develop ng isang annex to the National Building Code IRRs, specifically po para sa mga CMP sites, Mr. Chair?
Mr. President, Senator Risa, they relaunched the CMP to what they call the eCMP, the Enhanced CMP, Community Mortgage Program. And the community can borrow to address, they can borrow to implement resiliency programs in their community. So for example, nasa typhoon belt sila, right? Let's say Region 5 or Region 8, they can borrow, the community can borrow so that they can make their houses resilient to typhoons. They can retrofit their houses. So yung mga windows po, pwede nilang lagyan ng protection so that the community is resilient to typhoons. So meron na silang ganitong programa po.
Okay, salamat, Mr. Chair. So hindi na, tingin ng DSUD, hindi na ba nila kailangang magdagdag ng annex sa IRRs ng National Building Code para dun sa CMP sites?
Mr. President, admittedly, the building code needs to be updated talaga.
Actually, Mr. Chair, yung code mismo, hindi lang yung IRRs ng code.
Yeah,
Opo.
talagang kailangan no i-update because it's not attuned to the times anymore. Walang any conversation there on resiliency, on mitigation, even on energy efficiency, wala hong ganun. So there's now a move in the House of Representatives to update the building code. They call it the National Building Act, and DSUD is participating there constantly, Mr. President, so they can share their views on how the building code should be updated.
Okay. Including in terms of the CMP sites, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. President. So kasali na ho doon. Admittedly, marami, like for example, in energy efficiency, wala hong ganun na parte sa building code. No? So, and I saw yesterday that the President inaugurated a solar rooftop project in a socialized housing project. No, let's call it, I think, Ning Ning, the project. So it's actually quite a innovative project because nasa socialized housing facility siya. Normally, it's the houses in Forbes or houses in luxury enclaves na meron pong solar. Pero ito, socialized housing po. Row houses, nakita ko. No? So, Those are the things na wala ho sa building code that should be taken consideration.
I agree, Mr. Chair. And it actually makes sense na hindi lang sa socialized housing areas din, pero particularly sa socialized housing areas where ang layunin ay affordable quality housing, na powered ito ng renewable energy na alam po natin sa atin ng mga advocacy sa energy democracy na kalaunan mas mura ang kuryente na generated ng renewable energies. So, dahil meron ng umaandar na proseso sa House of Representatives, and I look forward na makapag-counterpart tayo sa Senado sa ganito, National Building Code Bill, hindi ko na kailangang itanong kung pwedeng magbigay ng timeline ang DSUD sa pag-develop ng annex sa National Building Code IRRs, specifically for CMP sites. Iwan ko na lang itong suggestion din na dun sa pag-participate nila sa House of Representatives process and eventually harinawa dito sa Senado, na isama po nila yung mga simplified standards for incremental development and for the development of a grassroots organizational approach for the technical capacity, for the structural vetting of self-built homes that need to be transformed into resilient assets, Mr. Chair. And huli na lang sa paksang ito, bukod pa sa mga ganito, yung update ng National Building Code para sa CMP areas, ano pa po ang pwede nating gawin para maghanda para sa the big one na ayon kay DOST Secretary Solidum naman ay maaring magresulta sa tens of thousands ng mga pamilya natin na mailibing sa ilalim ng rubble, Mr. Chair.
Mr. President, DSUD is very conscious of the areas that are called no-build zones. So ito yung mga malalapit sa fault areas. At talagang very strict sila, hindi ho nila pinapayagan magpatayo doon. Sa waterways, kung in area ay flood-prone area, hindi rin nila pinapayagan ho yun. So they're very conscious of that. Very strict ho yung policy on building in areas that are considered no-build zones. And at the same time, we mentioned kanina na meron ECMP, ang Pag-ibig meron rin pong facility for home improvement. So, for example, if the community or the homeowner, individual na, no? The homeowner would like to retrofit their houses, pwede silang mag-loan. No? Kung tingin nila luma na or sabi ng engineer ay hindi siya adequate to resist or to withstand earthquakes, pwede sila mag-loan. Yeah.
Okay, salamat Mr. Chair. Bago ko iwan itong paksa, isang note lang, no? Yung Philippine Building Code ay para sa bahay na tinatayo from the ground up. So bagong construction. I'm guessing baka ganun din ang perspective nung House Bill sa National Building Code. Samantala yung existing self-built houses, ito yung mga nasa CMP sites. So yung practical question po ay, ngayong papautangin sila, yung mga informal settlers natin, or yung mga nasa CMP sites, ngayong papautangin sila ng SHAFC para sa house improvement, paano nga tutulungan ng SHAFC itong mga tao na nasa CMP na i-improve yung mga bahay nila incrementally? Bago pa man magkaroon ng bagong batas, kaya ako naitanong kanina yung pwede bang magkaroon ng annex sa IRRs ng kasalukuyang National Building Code. So para sa kalaunan ay maging compliant, pati itong mga CMP households sa building code, Mr. Chair.
Ang NHA po very strict when it comes to addressing resiliency. So yung kanilang mga units are certified by engineers and compliant with the building code. Doon po sa mga CMP na housing, they coordinate with the LGU in terms of the structural aspects of the houses. But ang recommendation ko nga ho sa SIAPSI, magkaroon po ng parang technical assistance doon po sa mga communities. No? For example, they can do some inspection at sabihin sa community na itong bahay niyo kailangan i-retrofit natin para mas safe. Lalo na ang SIAPSI ngayon nakita ko is multi-level na no? So vertical. No? So I suggested to them to come up with parang technical assistance to the homeowners. No? So, but ngayon it's just coordination with the LGUs insofar as the housing or the compliance to the building code.
Na-appreciate ko, Mr. Chair, na on the same page ang chair, ang DSUD at key shelter agencies at itong representasyon in terms of yung concern para dun sa mga CMP families. Siguro yung tanong ay mas yung coverage nung applicable law. Kasi malamang a long time ago, nung unang binuo yung National Building Code, hindi pa nakakontemplate ang isang programa tulad ng CMP. And ngayong meron ng National Building Code bill sa House, hindi ko pa rin sigurado kung kasama yung CMP. Dahil nga, kumbaga, nasa ibang stage of development yung mga bahay ng mga CMP. Hindi sila i-build from the ground up pero i-improve. So baka pala yung unang tanong ko ay relevant pa rin kahit dun sa pag-participate ng SHAFC sa National Building Code Bill deliberation sa House. Baka ngayon pa lang pwede na nilang i-consider magmungkahi na magkaroon ng annex or hiwalay ba na provision sa loob ng bagong National Building Code o annex sa IRRs or at annex sa IRRs once ito ay mailabas, Mr. Chair.
The DSUD family is here and some of them I've worked with them when I was a mayor. Si GM Lacson ho, nung mayor ako, nandyan na yan. Hanggang ngayon, nandyan pa rin. No? So, expert to sa housing. So, they're listening right now and they will take your suggestions very seriously in terms of addressing resiliency, retrofitting houses, and also going beyond the standards of the building code. Kasi building code parang minimum yan eh. And then you can actually build more than what the building code requires. So they'll take your suggestions very seriously.
Salamat, Mr. Chair. And additionally, making sure na kung sa lumang batas, hindi reflected yung mga homeowners tulad sa CMP areas, sa bagong batas, marereflect na sila.
Correct.
At sa IRRs ng bagong batas, marereflect na rin po sila.
Tama po.
Mr.
That's
Chair.
why yung new building code, I'm very happy to hear that nag-umpisa na rin in discussion. And I welcome the updating of the building code when it comes here so we can look at or suggest new concepts in the new building code.
Salamat, Mr. Chair. Muli, pagtutulungan namin yan ng Chair at ng representasyong ito. And then just as a last note para sa DSUD, sa paksang ito, that LGUs should have a DSUD-vetted engineering extension service. So, something for possibly DSUD, kung tingin niya mabuting ideya to bring up with the DILG, and then tayo rin, baka pwede natin, Mr. Chair, itanong sa mga local government units kung tingin nila mabuting ideya ito, na magkaroon sila ng engineering extension service na DSUD vetted para po sa mga constituents nila na mga informal settlers and eventually mga CMP area residents din.
Actually, some LGUs are very proactive. They have, by ordinance, they put up their own housing office, especially to address the shelter needs of their constituents, especially from the informal sector. Kami po sa Valenzuela, for many years, meron na kaming a mini DSUD, no? We call it Office of the ano bang tawag? Office, parang Housing Office and Resettlement Office, no? Something to that effect. Na we work very closely with SHAPSI, with DSUD, with NHA on our shelter needs. No? Pero ang office na yon, siya talaga yung point person namin kung meron pong requirements on shelter. Even adjudication, kasi mga homeowners, madalas nag-aawayan on the ground. So para hindi na umakyat dito sa HLURB or sa DSUD, local government na nag-address. So I was advised that here in Metro Manila, half of our local governments have some form of housing office. Baka magandang, maybe we can come up with a law that if you have a significant number of informal settlers, pwede silang maggumawa ng housing office, no, to coordinate with DSUD.
I agree, Mr. Chair. At kung kalahati na pala ng LGUs dito sa Metro Manila ay may ganitong katulad ng sa Valenzuela na Housing and Resettlement Office, baka pwedeng tumulong ang MMDA i-echo yung ganitong modelo, ganitong best practice sa iba pang LGUs dito sa Metropolis na yun na nga, gaya ng sinabi ng Chair, may significant informal settler population. And with the help of DILG, kahit po sa buong bansa. So again, something for DSUD to consider bringing up with those other government agencies, Mr. Chair. So dako na po ako sa NHA, charter mandates at convergence plan. So particular, kaugnay din ng partnership implementation. So the NHA's new charter, Sorry, Mr. Chair. NHA's new charter mandates an important shift in its role. Ano po yung current progress at ano po yung 2026 work and financial plan para sa land assembly program sa palibot po ng mga upcoming train stations mula sa Clark hanggang sa Calamba? I ask this, Mr. Chair, because this would ensure that resettlers from danger zones and government infrastructure sites, mga naitanong ko rin kanina, are not resettled at the foot of the Sierra Madre, halimbawa, and that they retain unimpeded access to work by riding the DOTR trains, Mr. Chair. So, yung current progress na po at yung work and financial plan.
So from the, I thank the NHA for the update. Meron ho ang NHA and DOTR isang MOA to implement the housing needs of the mga tatamaan po ng right of way, particularly the PNR North 2 project, North-South Commuter Railway project, Metro Manila Subway project, and South Long Haul project. So in other words, hindi po pababayaan ng NHA itong mga pamilyang ito na tatamaan po ng right of way. And ang kagandahan, sabi ho sa akin ng NHA, mga in-city ho ang kanilang paglilipatan. So hindi sila dadalhin sa malayong lugar na walang eskwelahan. Or the worst is they call it next city, no? Yung next LGU or adjacent LGU, no? Yan ho talaga ang actually resistance ng mga relocatees, yung i-relocate ho sila sa napakalayong lugar, walang eskwelahan, walang transportation, walang trabaho. Nandoon ho sila sa lugar dahil may trabaho in the first place, no? But if you will relocate them, madi-displace ho sila. So the NHA the NHA's target is to do in-city relocation. The worst is the next city or the next municipality.
Salamat, Mr. Chair. Naku, sasabihin ko pa naman sana, implementation plan please, wag ng memorandum of agreement lang na naman. But sige, I'll step back a bit to that. Actually po, kahit nga hindi in-city, kung next city, kung adjacent man, baka may advantage kung kailangang mag-relocate, ma-relocate nga dun sa palibot ng mga upcoming train station. So, meron na po bang work and financial plan para sa land assembly program na yon? At ano pong progress nito, Mr. Chair?
Mr. President, actually it's the DOTR ang humihingi ho sa kanila ng relocation site. So the Division of Labor is pag meron pong expropriation or right-of-way alignment, NHA, at my family doon sa alignment, it's the NHA that takes care of the looking for the property kung saan pwedeng lipatan at sila na rin po nagpapatayo. At maganda pong balita, talagang in-city po yung kanilang practice. Kasi I remember mga past relocation, dinadala sa malalayo eh. No? Kaya yung mga pamilya bumabalik po doon sa original areas nila. So these are all ongoing projects. No? So even though memorandum of agreement, but it's really a more substantive arrangement between DOTR and NHA. Mayroon ho talagang, nakita ko dito sa update, meron na pong mga physical work na ginagawa po ang NHA. So we can submit to Her Honor an
Yes,
update
please,
on
Mr.
this transit-oriented development.
Salamat.
Tawag nila ho, TOD, Transit-Oriented Development.
Matagal na pong magandang advocacy ng lumang NEDA, ngayon DepDev, at interagency po talaga ang magpapatupad niyan. And in fact, Mr. Chair, hindi kailangan hingin ng DOTR sa NHA ang lahat ng relocation sites. Alam na po ng DOTR na sa ilalim ng Transit-Oriented Development Strategy na iyan, yun nga mismong mga lupa sa palibot nung mga train stations nila mula Clark at Calamba ay pwede at dapat isama bilang relocation sites. Kasi at least, kunyari, nilipat mula sa danger zone, tabing ilog, hindi naman itatapon, ililipat sa paanan ng Sierra Madre. At the same time, dahil nandun sa mga lupa, sa palibot ng train stations, may easy access sila sa tren at makakasakay sila papunta at pauwi sa trabaho or sa eskwelahan. So just a reminder to DSUD na they can also ask the OTR to be more forthcoming and proactively, kung hindi pa man naisama sa Work and Financial Plan for 2026, isama yung mga lupa na i-identify nila sa Land Assembly Program dun sa palibot ng mga train stations. And yung MOA po na meron sa ngayon, but I'm hoping nga na mas substantive ito gaya ng sinabi ng Chair. Kasama din po ba yung DPWH, Mr. Chair?
Mr. President, I was si NHA si GM is here. Apparently, because it's a DOTR project, so sila yung nagpo-provide ng housing funds to NHA for the relocation of those affected families. So ang source ng funds ay galing po sa DOTR. No? So yun po yung kanilang partnership. So aside from the physical division, it's also the funding division. Yeah.
And of course, I can imagine, very well appreciated po yan ng DSUD on the part of DOTR at tayo rin ng mga housing advocates. We certainly are glad na ginagastos yung pondo in that way. Ang akin lang po ay paalala, maybe as much for DOTR as for DSUD, na meron pong land assembly program sa ilalim ng transit-oriented development na dun sa palibot ng mga train stations nila. Huwag po nilang kakalimutan yung mga kailangang i-resettle na isa sa mga priority sectors din for resettlement doon po. At yung MOA po, Mr. Chair, kasama din po ba yung DPWH, yung NHA DOTR MOA?
Hindi po kasama. It's only
Hindi
DOTR
kasama.
lang.
Okay, maybe that's
These
something
are
to
for
look into.
DOTR projects.
Okay po. Baka that's something to look into po moving forward, Mr. Chair. So huli po sa NHA updates, meron na po bang IRR para sa mandated NHA loan condonation? At meron na po bang LGU NHA partnership framework na dinedevelop sa settlement site upgrading tulad ng kino-contemplate po ng bagong charter ng NHA, Mr. Chair?
Kasi when I was a mayor kasi ho, very active ho kami sa housing and shelter in Valenzuela. Kaya I can sympathize with NHA. Sabi ko, very challenging ho talaga ang housing and shelter, lalo na sa urban areas. So meron ho silang condonation program and meron na silang 7 na condonation program. And ang nag-apply na po ay 35,000 out of the 156 potential availees. So yun po yung nag-apply. And the condoned amounts is about 562 million. So malaki-laki rin po.
At may IRRs na siguro po itong loan condonation ng NHA.
Yeah, meron na po.
Okay. Salamat, Mr. Chair.
Sorry, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr.
Apparently, wala ng IRR because it's embedded in their charter na raw. No? So it's self-executory yung condonation. That's the way I understand it.
I see.
But they're implementing it. There's already meron na pong 7 condonation programs, no? Amounting to 562 million pesos.
Okay po, sir. So, NHA has an existing loan condonation program. Pero, konti lang ng mga eligible ang sumali so far. Bakit
Yes,
po kaya,
konti lang
Mr.
nga.
Chair?
But,
Opo,
this is,
parang 20% lang ba
This is
eligible?
20%?
Opo.
20%?
Bakit kaya? I mean, sinong hindi gugustuhin na makondo ng utang? So, may problema po ba? May limitasyon ba? No, how can we improve it, Mr. Chair?
Kasi maraming bagyo. Actually, nag-early. Since July, hanggang ngayon, walang bayad.
Well, ang sagot po sa akin, because of the typhoon, because of the effects of typhoon, so I think hindi ho lang naasikaso. Maybe the NHA can also endeavor more information campaign. Baka hindi rin alam ng tao, no? That's the first thing also I saw, parang ang baba, 20% only applied. But this is a good program dahil
Yes.
matatanggal po yung kanilang utang.
Opo.
So I suggest to NHA to do more information campaign para malaman po ng tao.
Opo. And in fact, itong loan condonation program ng NHA na isinabatas din po natin dito, it mirrors yung loan condonation ng mga agrarian reform beneficiaries sa
correct.
kanayunan naman. So talagang mapapaisip ka, sinong hindi gugustuhin na kumbaga ma-forgive yung debt niya? Kung effects ng typhoon, of course, at the same time, pagkatapos ng disaster, pag nasa rebuilding stage tayo, syempre, lalong pampagaan sa loob kapag, ay, may utang ako na makokondone. So, I support the suggestion of the chair na mas proactive na information campaign para tumaas po yung uptake sa programang ito.
Meron kasi akong na-experience in Valenzuela when I was a mayor. I was telling the secretary and the GM of NHA, kung nagbebenta po ng rights, uso ho yan sa mga urban areas. So, may mga secondary owners na or secondary beneficiaries. And hindi nila pinapayagan mag-condone yung mga
Yes.
secondary. No? So,
Opo, Mr. Chair.
maybe that's a different program. No? Kasi ang mura lang kasi in NHA housing, maganda pa yung location. So the original beneficiaries normally na bebenta ho nila yung, they call it rights. No?
Right.
At in secondary beneficiary, hindi naman papayagan ng NHA to condone. Pero sila na yung physically nandun sa area. So maybe, I think I suggested to NHA to look at that angle also.
Yes. And in fact, Mr. Chair, narinig ko na rin po yun sa mga beneficiaries, potential beneficiaries nitong loan condonation program. Alam nila yung ganyang sitwasyon, alam nila yung ganyang programa. At sila mismo, they are very willing to work with NHA to make sure na yung magbebenepisyo lang ay yung mga karapat-dapat lang, hindi yung nabentahan lang ng rights. And kaya rin, siguro, because of these issues, Mr. Chair, kaya nga, baka kailangan ng bagong IRR para sa loan condonation program.
Yeah, meron kasi, I was telling si GM Lacson na may experience kami sa Valenzuela. Actually, hindi ko na masyado na-update. Nakalahati na po nung community is secondary, I call it secondary beneficiaries. No? So, but hindi ho sila rin recognize ng SHAPC. But sila na nakatira doon and willing naman sila magbayad. So, I think they should, they call it substitution. No? They should address that issue also. NHA
Yes,
should
Mr.
also address that dahil willing naman po magbayad yung pangalawang lumipat.
Opo.
Yeah.
So baka hindi sila pasok sa loan condonation program,
Yes.
baka ibang program.
Ibang program.
Opo,
Oo.
na maaring didisenyo pa ng key shelter agencies natin. And again, that's why baka kailangan ng bagong IRRs para to take cognizance of kung paano nag-evolve yung situation on the ground at yung participation ng mga beneficiaries sa iba't ibang programa natin, Mr.
The
Chair.
NHA will be looking at that also.
Salamat po
Thank
para
you,
doon,
Senator
Mr.
Risa.
Chair. And lastly, tungkol sa paksang ito, kanina dun sa transit-oriented development, we're talking not just about the resettlement of affected persons, bagamat, syempre, kasama po yun, we're talking about urban development around the stations, otherwise known as, kaya nga po, transit-oriented development. Na doon, yung mga informal settlers, hindi lang po sila beneficiaries, sila po'y mamumuhunan din. Mag-i-input din sila sa development process around the train stations. So, dako na po ako, Mr. Chair, sa walang kamatayang NLEX Segment 8.2 conflict, yung forced relocation at internal audit. Aware po si Sec. Aliling sa serious situation kung saan daang-daang mga pamilya ay apektado ng NLEX Segment 8.2 extension na iniuulat ay pinipressure daw ng NHA, pinipressure daw ng DPWH na lumipat sa mga off-city sites na kontra po sa in-city housing plan ng Quezon City. So, itanong ko pala muna, Mr. Chair, aware po ba ang Good Secretary sa ganitong seryosong sitwasyon?
They're aware. Sorry, Mr. President, for the
Yes,
delay.
Mr.
I was
Chair.
just getting an update from NHA. They're aware po about the NLEX 8.2 segment,
Okay.
Mr. President. And medyo medyo very challenging because ang total ISF is about 28,900,000 families.
Opo.
Tama ba ito? 1,000 families.
Very challenging talaga, Mr. Chair, at saka ang laki po ng potential for a public good na ma-generate, public goods na ma-generate pag na-resolve ito sa tulong at sa pamumuno ng DSUD. Kasi to set the record straight on how rules of humane settlement are being complied with and to address the integrity of the relocation process, posible kaya na ang DSUD ay kaagad mag-issue ng directive sa NHA Internal Audit Service na mag-conduct ng mandatory third-party monitored audit ng relocation process para sa proyektong ito para siguruhin yung compliance sa adequate consultation and social preparation requirements, Mr. Chair.
Ang NHA naman, Mr. President, Senator Risa, nakita ko yung work nila, they're experts already pagdating sa relocation. Talagang may social preparation sila. They also look at the relocation site to make sure that hindi lang bahay, kundi may school, may daycare, may health center. It's close to the employment opportunities. So NHA is sisiguraduhin nila na hindi lang po ililipat yung tao, pero yung paglilipatan ho nila ay hindi po makaka-apekto sa pamumuhay po ng mga tao.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chair. Unfortunately, dahil din siguro sinabi nga ng Chair na very challenging itong situation, tumagal na. Ang tagal. Halos ilang taon na nating pinag-uusapan dito tuwing budget interpellation. At may ilang mga solusyon na isinusulong nitong nakaraang mga taon, wala pa rin talagang namumuo. So, kahit for the sake of argument, sabihin natin, i-concede natin na ganito yung mga katangian ng NHA, pwede nga kayang i-direct ng DSUD ang Internal Audit Service ng NHA na mag-conduct niyang mandatory third-party monitored audit, Mr. Chair. Baka makapag-generate ng bagong findings na hindi pa natin nakikita o bagong recommendation para sa solusyon.
I-audit po yung process
Yes,
dito po
Mr.
sa
Chair. Yung relocation process.
relocation process.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Para siguruhin yung compliance sa adequate consultation at yung social preparation din, Mr. Chair.
I was conferring po with the DSUD family. Meron din ho silang coordination with PCUP, yung Presidential Commission on the Urban Poor, because ang responsibility naman ho nila is to make sure that bago po i-relocate, makatarungan po yung kanilang relocation area. So they can be a good third-party agency para po tignan itong relocation process po ng NHA, particularly for this project. No? So we'll request from DSUD and NHA to coordinate with the PCUP on this matter. Alam
Salamat,
kong PCUP, very active rin yan. I've encountered many instances where talagang hindi nila pinapayagan kung wala pong proper relocation site.
Opo. Salamat po para doon, Mr. Chair. Coordinative nga po yung PCUP, bagamat wala siyang masyadong enforcement capacity. So, am I hearing na ididirect nga ng DSUD ang PCUP na mag-conduct nitong mandatory third-party monitored audit? Na parang sila yung, although hindi naman sila hiwalay, hindi naman sila exactly third-party, pero sila yung mag-conduct ng audit. Kasi mataas po yung at stake dito, no? Yung kung yung rules ng humane resettlement ay kino-comply with at yung integrity mismo ng relocation process. So did I hear the good news na i-direct ng DSUD ang PCUP i-conduct ang audit na ito, Mr. Chair?
That's a suggestion that I made to the department. Dahil po ang PCUP is under DSWD, so at least merong check
So good,
and balance.
third party nga po.
Correct.
Third party nga po, Mr. Chair.
Meron pong check and balance at walang conflict of interest. So the Secretary agreed that he will write PCUP or request PCUP to do a third-party audit or a third-party, some form of third-party engagement. And they will also consult with PCUP on that process to make sure that they are compliant. No?
Maraming salamat para doon, Mr. Chair, at sa good secretary. Huling paksako na lang, huling tanong na lang, Mr. Chair, tungkol sa accountability at cost effectiveness ng in-city solutions.
Senator Risa, just
yes, Mr. Chair.
very quick lang. No? I'm
Nga po.
looking at the mandate of PCUP. Saan yung plan? Saan? One of their functions is to plan and monitor programs and projects for the development of urban poor or communities in coordination with the agencies involved. No? So, pwede itong maging parang third-party auditor or third-party monitoring body dito sa project na ito.
Maraming salamat, Mr. Chair. So, swak na swak, pati sa mandate ng PCUP ito. Thank you so much for that. So, huling tanong ko na lang po tungkol sa Quezon City Partnership at yun na nga, cost effectiveness ng in-city resettlement. So, Quezon City, being the primary LGU responsible for its constituents' shelter, has a long-standing proposal for an in-city resettlement partnership, offering cost-effective solutions like 800 peso monthly rental options to prevent job loss when people are displaced. So ang huling tanong ko na lang sa interpelasyong ito, Mr. Chair, pwede bang mag-commit si Sec. Aliling na tumawid sa Kalayaan Avenue bago matapos itong taon para magkaroon ng formal consultation kay Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte at yung Local Housing Board tungo sa isang Memorandum of Agreement na kikilalanin ang Quezon City bilang co-implementor niyang NLEX Segment 8.2 Socialized Housing Component, Mr. Chair.
So maganda naman po ang relationship ni Secretary Aliling kay Mayor Joy Belmonte and yung Quezon City and DSUD have good working relationship. So in fact mayroon ho silang 4 na public rental housing projects in QC. No, almost 1,000 families po ang beneficiaries po nitong public rental housing. So yes, they will coordinate with the Quezon City government for itong mga endeavors na ito. Yeah.
Salamat, Mr. Chair. Specifically, formal consultation at posibleng memorandum of agreement na kikilalanin ng QC bilang co-implementor ng NLEX Segment 8.2 Socialized Housing Component.
Mr. President, in fact, kasama talaga ang QC dito po sa segment 8.2. In fact, nakita ko kasama rin ng Valenzuela eh. But wala na yata kaming, may informal settlers ba kami? Wala yata eh. Meron din pala kaming informal settlers. So, yeah, I just saw in the map na, mahaba ho siya, no? It's a very big project, crosses multiple cities, Valenzuela, QC. So I'll also request LGU Valenzuela to coordinate with QC in terms of consultation and social preparation. And also, ang department will also coordinate with QC government naman po in regards to this social preparation and coordination.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair, kay Secretary at sa buong DSUD family, yung key shelter agencies. I think I'm so happy to, every once in a while like now, to end an interpellation on a happy note. Maligayang Pasko at manigong bagong taon sa DSUD, sa QC government, at sa mga constituents, partners nyo doon, ng mga informal settlers. Maraming salamat,
Thank you,
Mr.
Senator Risa.
President.
Nakabawi na ako sa iyo. Kasi
Ay!
kahapon mainit yung ulo natin sa DICT.
Pero, opo, dun ako sa department uminit ng ulo, hindi po sa inyo,
Hindi,
Mr.
hindi.
Chair. Salamat po.
Si Secretary Ililing mas ito, cool.
Salamat
Thank you.
to Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, before we continue with the budget of the DSHU, the Department of Housing, we'd just like to welcome to the Senate His Excellency Bibata Nebi Quadrago, non-resident ambassador of Burkina Faso to the Philippines, together with the Honorable Honorary Consul General Consul Robert Goyutay, Consulate of Burkina Faso in the Philippines, with his wife, Ms. Fego, and si Khalifa Sumali and Madeline Tiemtore, Mr. President. We'd like to welcome them to the Senate.
Thank you to our guests, to Ambassador and the party together. Welcome to the Philippine Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you for visiting. Yes.
Mr. President, no
Majority
other
Leader.
member wishes to interpolate the budget of the... may we recognize Senator Robin Hood Padilla, Mr. President.
Senator
for a short
Robin Padilla is recognized.
Maraming salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo, at sa ating pinunong mayorya sa pagbanggit po sa aking bisita. La patrie ou la mort, nous vaincrons. French. Fatherland or death, we shall overcome. Opo, pwede po bang magtanong sa atin pong mahal na kaibigan,
Pero
Senator
wag in
Einstein?
French. Hindi ako marunong mag-French.
Hanggang doon lang ang French ko.
French fries pwede.
Marami lang po akong mga gustong tanungin, pero ang lahat po na yon ay nabanggit na po ni Senator Risa, kaya ang mangyayari po sa akin ay manifestation na lang. Pero meron po akong video bago po ako mag-manifest. Ready na? Sir. Ito po ay kuha sa Cebu. Na-interrupt po ang video, pero malinaw naman po doon sa video, nakita po natin na nakalulungkot po ang sitwasyon na ito, sapagkat dito po nagkaroon po ng Lina Law. At ito po yung RA 7279. Sa Section 29, ang sabi po doon, resettlement. Within 2 years from the effectivity of this act, the local government units, in coordination with the National Housing Authority, shall implement the relocation and resettlement of persons living in danger areas such as esteros, railroad tracks, garbage dumps, river banks, shorelines, waterways, and other public places such as sidewalks, roads, parks, and playgrounds. The local government unit, in coordination with the National Housing Authority, shall provide relocation or resettlement sites with basic services and facilities and access to employment and livelihood opportunities sufficient to meet the basic needs of the affected families. Nais ko lang pong magkwento po sa inyo dahil hindi lang po ako galing sa Cebu, galing din po ako sa Negros at galing din po ako sa Bicol Region. Gusto ko pong ipaalam sa ating mahal na ahensya na aking pong partner sa loob ng 3 taon. Marami din po kaming project na nag-umpisahan ng NHA. Gusto ko pong iparating po sa inyo na karamihan po sa mga napuntahan kong tamaan ng kalamidad, isa lang po ang kanilang kahilingan. Sila po ay maalis sa lugar na yon at mailipat sa isang lugar na sila po ay safe. Nakikita niyo po yan? Kalsada po yan, naging waterfalls na. Ganyan po ang sitwasyon. Gusto ko pong malaman po din ninyo na sila po ay hindi ko malaman kung bakit pinayagan ng local government na tumira itong mga taong ito sa riverbanks, sa mga tinatawag po nating daanan ng natural na tubig kapag umuulan. At yung iba ginawa pang barangay. Hindi ko po talaga maintindihan paano nangyari yon na itong mga taong ito ay pinayagan doon tumira. At noong nandoon po ako at nakipagtalakayan sa kanila, ang sabi po nila sa akin, wala daw pong ino-offer na resettlement o relocation sa kanila, ang NHA. Nakalulungkot po dahil kinausap ko po yung local government, dribble ang nangyari. Ang sabi po, tinuturo naman po kayo. Kasi ang sabi sa batas, sila ang mag-aalis, kayo ang magre-resettlement. Ang nangyayari po, turuan. Hindi po ako magtatanong na. Ako po yung nagmamanifest lang. Ang nangyari pa po, dumating pa yung isang ahensya ng gobyerno, imbis na ang i-offer sa kanila ay resettlement o ialis doon, magbibigay lang daw po ng bubong at kahoy. Ibig sabihin, dyan pa rin kayo titira. Pag dumating uli yung baha, bahala na kayo sa buhay ninyo. Parang ganun po. Gusto ko lamang pong ipaalam sa lahat na dyan po sa Cebu, meron pong namatay dyan, 8 sa isang pamilya. 8. Isang pamilya po yun, 8. Doon po sa Negros, 14. Isang pamilya. Kaya sayang po, kitang-kita po natin, no? Nandiyan po sila sa pambihira, oh. Kaya sana po, tatagal lang po tayo dito kung magtatanungan pa tayo. Baka po sa 2026 na ako magtatanong kung ano po ang ginawa ninyo dito sa nangyayari na to sa ating mga kababayan. Mga mahal kong nasa gobyerno, hindi na po namamatay sa lunod sa tubig ang ating mga kababayan. Namatay po sila sa lunod sa putik. Nung pumunta po ako, lagpas tao ang putik. Hindi na po makita. Yung pong isang pamilya, hindi nila nakita na yung kapatid niyang 3 dahil nalibing na po sa putik. Kaya sana po, ito po ang tingnan natin. Ito po ay urgent, emergency na po ito. Kailangan po natin itong aksyonan na ngayon na dahil baka may dumating na naman na bagyo. Sabi po tayo ng sabi na ito na ang sitwasyon natin. Mas lalakas ang bagyo, mas dadami ang baha. Siguro po ito po ang panahon para ipakita natin talaga na ang ating gobyerno ay riresponde sa taong bayan. At ito po ang kailangan sa ngayon na. Ma-resettle po sila, ma-relocate po sila. Diyan po sa Negros, ako na po mismo naghahanap ng lupa para sa kanila. Ang sagot sa akin, hindi dito. Mahirap humanap ng lupa dito dahil puro asindero dito. Makakaaway natin dito ang mga asindero. My goodness gracious. Kaya sana po, mga mahal kong kababayan sa ating gobyerno at sa inyo po, tulungan niyo po ako. Sa 2026 na po ako magtatanong. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat, Senator Robin. At loud and clear po ang inyong mensahe sa Department of Housing. At nanggaling rin po ako dyan. At tama ko kayo, yan talaga ang sigaw ng mga kababayan natin sa Cebu, particularly sa Talisay, sa Cebu City, sa Mandaue, na mabigyan ho sila ng disente at ligtas na pabahay. No? Ayaw naman ho nila tumira doon, pero dahil sa hirap ng buhay at wala ring paglilipatan, kumbaga napuwersa ho silang tumira ho doon. Pero ang DSUD at nakikipag-coordinate po sa mga local government units, very challenging dahil bibili ho ng lupa, pero nagko-coordinate ho sila para po mailipat itong mga pamilyang ito sa mga danger zones or danger areas. Kaya maraming salamat sa inyong pagbibigay ng paalala.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, next to interpolate the budget is Senator J.V. Ejercito, the author of the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development Act.
Senator J.V. Ejercito is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Majority Leader. A pleasant afternoon to the DSUD family, our Chair, Community Finance, Erwin Gatchalian. Anyway, it has been 6 years since the passage of the creation of the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development. It was passed in 2019. Of course, I'm very proud to have sponsored and authored this measure, together with our colleagues here who supported. Of course, and Risa was here. Then, Senator Zubiri was the majority leader, and Senate President Soto, under his administration when we passed this landmark legislation. Together, it was also passed together with the Universal Healthcare Law. So these are two landmark legislations that we passed during that year. But sad to say that after 6 years, we still have a long way to go. Still a lot of challenges. Siguro, alam po ng DSUD family yan. Hindi naman po lahat talaga. It cannot happen overnight. Wala naman pong magic na pagkapasa ng batas, gaganda na po lahat. Just like universal healthcare, now it is being felt slowly. And by next year, it will now be more effective. But it took almost 6 years for it to be realized. I think itong housing sector will have a lot more challenges. So, based on what we've heard earlier, the backlog back then, as far as I can remember, Mr. President, when we were drafting the measure, was about 2 million but that time. And now it grew exponentially. Nasa 6 million na po ba ang backlog, as I was listening. So ang bilis ho ng paglago ng backlog if we do not really construct those houses. Kaya lang challenge talaga, yung 1 million houses that was planned under the 4PH, under this administration, ngayon po magiging 1 million na lang until the end of the administration. But then being the principal sponsored author, of course, we have to make sure that this measure the program under DSUD will be more effective, kasi we do not want, ang gusto natin walang matirang squatter sa sariling bayan. Anyway, just like to ask a few questions and on a few issues. So we just like to ask us, yung po mga yung mga bagong can we know the names of the new USECs, kasi panibagong familiar faces na po sila. Ang ko lang, when we started drafting this measure ever since the Housing Summit, wala na ho akong nakikilalang familiar face sa kanila. So just a rundown, the key officials, can we have their names?
Of course, yung ating butihing Secretary Aliling, then si Yusek Henry Yap, Senior USEC Henry Yap, Senior USEC Sharon Pakis, Undersecretary Odilion Pasaraba, Undersecretary Ramon Aliado, Undersecretary Eduardo Robles, Undersecretary Roman Molina, Undersecretary Maylin Rivera, at si Assistant Secretary Angelito Aguila. So ito po yung kanilang mga USECs and ASECs.
Okay, thank you for that. Not to, of course, we would like to know the new officials of the DSUD. Of course, I do not want to, I'm hoping that they will really come up, hindi ko naman inaano yung credentials nila. But, the only problem, Mr. President, with all of the departments, yung pong turnover lagi ganun no? So, my worry always is the institutional memory. Just like with the DOH, naiwan na lang po si Secretary Ted Herbosa. From USEC, ASEC down, bago na rin po lahat. When we were drafting the Universal Healthcare Law, yung po mga kausap namin, yung the ones who helped us formulate or draft the law, wala na po lahat. In the same manner with the DSUD. So I'm hoping, bagong na naman to, learning curve, sana po, yung sa susunod na 2 taon, malaman nyo na lahat. No? From the Housing Summit, hanggang sa pag-draft, so bago na naman po tayo. But then again, nandiyan na po yan. So we'll just have to help each other. Yung po sa sa development, the reason why we came up with the DSUD, all the agencies, all the housing agencies of government, iba-iba po yung they had their own offices, hiwa-hiwalay po sila under the HADSI back then. So we deemed it proper that under the DSUD, at least everybody will move in the one direction. Probably I would like to ask the chairman if we can ask Secretary Aliling, yung pong strategy now with the housing, the socialized housing. Sana po hindi na maulit yung mga dating nakagawian, nagagawa na kung saan pinakamura ang lupa, doon po bibili, magde-develop, gagawa ng socialized housing, low-cost housing, tapos pwera yung ilumipat yung mga beneficiaries, but after a few months, after a few years, iiwanan. Kasi po, malayo sa transport hub, malayo sa mga health centers, sa mga educational facilities. And during that time, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, ang nangyayari, nasa 30% or below ang occupancy. Nagsasayang po tayo ng pera. So, I'm hoping that with the passage of DSUD, ang gusto natin township development. It should now be complete with the health, educational, transport hubs, and others. So, I just want to ask, is this the same direction still that will be pursued by the leadership of Secretary Aliling and the DSUD family?
Well, thank you for that question. And tama ho kayo, Senator JV, na yung mga tao na pinapwersa pong i-relocate sa outside of their cities or outside of their municipalities, napipilitan ho silang iiwan yung kanilang pinaglipatan dahil walang trabaho, walang eskwelahan, walang education, at inconvenient para sa kanilang daily life. Tayo man, pag linipat ho doon, talagang aalis ho tayo ng aalis dahil walang mga basic facilities. So, yan po ay hindi na policy ng bagong pamunuan ng Department of Housing. In fact, kanina napag-usapan ho namin ni Senator Risa na ang policy ngayon ng NHA ay in-city or neighboring cities, or they call it close city or neighboring cities. No? So, yun po yung kanilang policy.
Well, that's good to hear because both of us have experience as former chief executives. And I would say that, I can proudly say, Mr. President, that in Metro Manila, San Juan and Valenzuela have more or less the more successful socialized housing program. Kasi po, hindi naman ho lahat ng LGUs prioritize housing because number one, it's very expensive. Land is very expensive in Metro Manila. And second, hindi masyadong mataas, no, yung development cost. But happy to note that Valenzuela has one of the more successful housing programs. Yung po yung Disciplina Village, no? If I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
Disciplina Village po. Oo.
Dalawa po yun,
Medyo
no?
payat pa tayo dyan, Senator JV.
Oo nga eh.
Oo.
Parang ako hindi.
Hindi. Ikaw yun. Hindi. Actually, ikaw yung tinutukoy ko.
Yes, this one's, si Congressman Albi Benitez, the one who passed the other measure, the countermeasure. But yung Kalayaan, the Disciplina Village, how many phases was that, Mr. Chairman?
Well, it was an offshoot of Bagyong Ondoy. I think mayor tayo noon, Senator JV at that time. So dahil po sa Bagyong Ondoy, we had to relocate yung mga nasa danger areas. So to date, we have relocated close to about 15,000 sa mga danger areas. Meron na ho kaming 3 housing projects. Pero sa amin ho, public rental housing, we rent it to them. No? Hindi ho namin, wala pong binibigay na ownership. So, but mura lang po yung renta, about 300 pesos. I remember this time you were the chairman of the Senate Committee on Housing, if I'm not mistaken, at that time nung binisita nyo kami sa Valenzuela.
And that's worth, worth looking at. I'm hoping that the Dishud family, Secretary Ling, would consider rental housing. I think will be very good also for Metro Manila right now. Magandang, it was a very good example, the one that they built in Valenzuela. Sa San Juan naman, we built medium rise also, 5-story. This was this community, St. Joseph, was gutted by fire, about 1,000 families or 5,000 inhabitants. But we were able to establish a 5-story socialized housing. My question, Mr. President, during the time of Secretary Acusar, he wanted high-rise, no? I think he wanted high-rise socialized housing for Metro Manila. Rationale is being because land is definitely expensive in the urban area, especially Metro Manila. So they will maximize, no, na maglagay ng high-rise. My only apprehension is that pag high-rise, the cost of maintenance is very high, no? Yung mga elevator, hindi pwedeng 2 lang yan or 4 pag ganun malalaki. Baka 6 to 8. And then the common usage area. What is the take or the position of Secretary Aliling daw and the Dishud family? Do they still pursue ito po mga socialized housing that is high-rise, the 20-story or above?
So, tama ho kayo, Senator JV. Itong ganitong project ay hindi na itinuloy ni Secretary Aliling because the price points is beyond the socialized housing price points. So hindi ito yung mga hindi kayang ma-afford ng mga constituents ho natin na dapat ho natin bigyan ng pabahay. No? So hindi na nila ito inadopt under the new 4PH. But what they adopted is a walk-up until 5 floors na public rental housing. So
we go back to the old formula.
Yes,
That
bumalik.
has been, I think that's the proven formula for socialized housing. Talagang walk-up lang. I think yung Sen Gatchalian is the one in Valenzuela is also 5-story, no? Walk-up also.
Yes, parang 4.5.
4.5. Kasi itong pinapakita ko sa inyo ngayon, kasi ayaw magpatalo yung mayor namin eh. Gumawa kami ng 5-story. Gumawa naman siya ng 22-story. So that's my worry, no? Kaya my apprehension. Because the cost of development, the cost of maintenance, security, elevator, common usage area will be very high. Ngayon nga lamang, siguro alam po ninyo na ang hirap ng maningil doon sa amortization that's very low or rental. Kung isasama pa itong mga ganitong type na kusa na common usage area na mayroong fees, naku, baka mas mahirapan na ho tayo maningil. Anyway, I would like to thank Secretary Aliling for again in going back to that proven model, no, na walk up, which is really more appropriate for socialized and in-house housing. So my question also now is that will we continue with the pursuing in city house or near city housing in urban areas? Will the DSUD partner with LGUs? Kasi ang mahal dito, the bigger portion, the more expensive portion is land. If the LGU would provide the land, I think DSUD can develop, no? In the same manner that we in Valenzuela and San Juan were able to do it.
Kaya ho sa Valenzuela and also some, I think QC kanina narinig ko, kaya ho public rental housing because mahal ho talaga yung lupa. No? In Metro Manila, the price range can range from 45,000 to all the way to 200, 300,000. Kaya ho, pag isasama ho natin yung price of land dun sa amortization, hindi talaga kaya ng mga beneficiaries. So the model that DSUD now is using here in Metro Manila is public rental housing. So at least yung on LGU land, no? On LGU land para po
Just like a Valenzuela model.
para wala hong amortization yung lupa. And you can also redevelop that in the future, no? Sa Singapore ho, all housing units dun is rental, no? And from time to time they redevelop the area, lalo na kung yung area po nagiging affluent. So that's the model that DSUD now is adopting.
Well, that's good to hear, no, from Secretary Liling because these are proven more successful programs, no. Maganda yung sa Venezuela and I would really support that yung rental for Metro Manila. But siguro itong ginawa sa amin na condominium, siguro pwede na rin gawing rental na lang. Anyway, yung po sa with regards to other socialized housing, NHA, siguro for us not to repeat the same mistake as before, now that we are pursuing the massive infrastructure, North-South commuter line, Metro Manila subway, and others, probably the housing sector, the DSUD can base its projects or programs on the transport development. Kung nasan yung transport, dapat sumusunod yung development. I hope that can be considered. So that hindi na mauulit muli yung dating nasa kung saan lupalop, nilalagay na bundok, na malayo, isolated, iiwanan din. So that's just my 2 cents worth to suggest. Now that we are now pursuing the railway system, highways, sana nandun din yung housing component.
Yes, Mr. President, Senator JV. In fact, nakita natin yan in many, pag bumibisita tayo sa ibang bansa, nakikita natin na yung mga tao nakatira sa labas ng metropolitan area and then nagko-commuter line sila papasok every day, no? Every day. Even in Japan, it's like that. In Europe, it's like that. So hopefully pag natapos itong North-South commuter rail natin, that will be the offshoot na yung mga kababayan natin pwede silang tumira ng Bulacan pero everyday pumapasok sila gamit po yung tren.
Thank you, Mr. President. DSUD OSEC requested 5.2 billion, NHA 38.83 billion, SHAPSI 9.9 billion for the 4PH project. What is the reason why DBM did not fund these projects and what alternative plans are in line for these unfunded projects? Ano po ang magiging alternate or direction ng DSUD?
Actually, Senator JV, well, thank you for that question. Kaya ho hindi nabigay dahil meron pa silang natitirang funding that will be carried over to 2026. 683 million still remains in the coffers of DSUD. And the reason for that is because they reformed the 4PH program to make it affordable. Yung kaninang nabanggit nyo na tuklasan nila pag high-rise, only the upper 10th quintile can afford that housing project. So they had to reform the program, kaya na-delay po yung 4PH program. But now na reformed na, very clear na yung kanilang market target, gagamit na nila itong 683 million for next year. Kaya hindi ho sila binigyan because of the low utilization.
Anyway, I'll just go to be rest assured of our support. No, of course, we cannot let the department fail. The D should succeed, and again, we need to address the backlog. No, na sabi ko kanina nung sinusulat natin ito, 2 million lang ang backlog. It grew exponentially to 6 million. So we really have to move fast, and I think the key here will be financing. No, also one of the things that D should really focus on the financing side, lalo na sa mga projects. And siguro sa NHA na lang, no? Si GM na lang nakita ko dito. How was kamusta po ang production ng NHA ever since 2022 up to at present? Did we improve the production of NHA? Tinaasa natin. I think Senate ang nagdagdag, di ba? Ng 1 billion.
In terms of production, Mr. President, walang problema po yung housing production ng NHA. But admittedly, compared to the height of the budget allocation to NHA, at one point nakakakuha ho sila ng 10 billion pesos. But now, ang allocation ho natin is about 4.3 billion. No? So, it's really a question of fiscal space. Kaya ho hindi sila nakakahabol dun sa mga housing requirements natin.
But before end, I'd like to thank Mr. President, of course, Chairman, our Finance Chair for adding Senate intervention of nagdagdag tayo na 1.5 billion. At least this is again still construction, no? We can be rest assured that yung ating spending kahit pa paano magpatuloy, and my support to the D-Should family, be rest assured of our support. We have to make this work. We have almost 2.5 years, but hopefully as the sponsor and author of this measure, I just want to be rest assured of our support, and di tayo dapat mag-fail dito, no? There are a lot of challenges, a lot of speed bumps, no doubt, but I think with the leadership of Secretary Erwin and the D-Should family, I would like to profess my support to the department. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Majority. Thank you, Chairman.
Maraming salamat, Senator JV, to the father of the DSUD Department of Housing.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'd just like to echo the sentiment of Senator JV, lalo na sa mga probinsya at secretary, kasi ayaw nila ng high-rise dun. Gusto nila ng single-detached. Kasi magtatanim ng malunggay, ng alam mo naman. And we're actually very successful because the NHA has 3 major projects now in Bukidnon. So we thank them for that. So, Mr. President, no other member wishes to interpolate the budget of the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development. I move that the budgets of the Office of the Secretary, Human Settlements Adjudication Commission, Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation, National Housing Authority, and Social Housing Finance Corporation be deemed submitted. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Chair hears none. The Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, including the budgetary support to all their other offices, are hereby deemed submitted.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. May I ask for a minute suspension to allow the transfer of the DTI into the session hall?
Session suspended.